This whole idea of Kwanzaa, this celebration, is a very natural one. My daughters were all talking one evening or one night, and the idea of lighting the candles for Kwanzaa came up. Now, the idea of celebrating Kwanzaa is not new for our family. We've been talking about this for a long time, but just never made an active move to do it. And so it was significant that Monica, she mentioned the idea that I wanted to be at the celebration when we light the candles this time around. And then it went from there to setting a date and a time. That's that lit a fire on all of us that we're going to make this thing happen. And I am so proud to say, from that idea and that discussion, we have spoken into being this Kwanzaa celebration coming through our family. The idea is, we didn't have all of the pieces, so we're actually saying that we're putting this together from a natural standpoint and using our creativity. And that's what this is about. We as a people cannot lose our creativity. That is what has brought us this far. We've overcome a lot of issues and concerns throughout the world, and we're going through a tough time right now. So this is going to be something that we want to embrace. So at this point in time, I'm getting ready to introduce once again our reader for the night. And ladies and gentlemen, that reader is going to be Professor Braylon Jones. And we're going to ask him to come on up to the podium and begin this process.
So for the family that wasn't here, I'm gonna do a small little recap. We started off with Umoja, which is unity. Umoja is the first principle of Kwanzaa. It is symbolized by lighting the black candle in the center of the Kinara, which represents unity. Unity is appropriately celebrated the first day of Kwanzaa because it is the common thread that ties us all together. Our progress as a race depends on our ability to form cohesion bonds that transcend our individual differences. Umoja encourages us to strive for and to maintain unity in family, community, race, and the nation. Throughout history, great black thinkers have always advocated the benefits of a united race. As early as 1847, Frederick Douglass declared, "Our cause is one, and we must help each other." If we would succeed, Umoja helps us understand that in order for African Americans to live more peaceful and fruitful lives, we must strengthen and build our families and communities into a unified force that works for the common good. That is Umoja, which is unity. Now I will do a recap on Kwanzaa Shakalia, which is self-determination. The second principle of Kwanzaa is Kwanzaa Shakalia, which is symbolized by lighting the first red candle of the Kinara. The significance of Kwanzaa Shakalia is that it encourages us to define, name, create, and speak for ourselves instead of being defined, named, and created for and spoken for by others. Self-determination shapes our belief that we can be responsible for our own destiny in life. It helps us to understand that we are our greatest resource. As history has taught, we cannot expect from others what we must provide for ourselves. Kwanzaa Shakalia instills in us a sense of independence and self-sufficiency. The Million Man March on Washington embodies the essence of the lesson espoused by Kwanzaa Shakalia. The march was a clarion call for African American men to take control of their destinies, and in an unprecedented show of solidarity and unity, a vast multitude of black men vowed to take renewed responsibility for themselves, their families, and their communities.
Okay, and at this point, what we're going to do, Naya Jamaica, you want to come up and light the candles. As has already been presented by Professor Braylon, the black candle is unity, red candle is Kwanzaa Shakalia, and Kwanzaa Shakalia, self-determination.
Day one, Umoja,
Unity,
unity. The second candle, the red candle, day 2, Kuja Shakalia, day 3. Are we ready for day 3 or shall we wait?
We're going to have the reading up, and then we'll.
I will like as he reads.
Okay. So day 3 represents Ujima, collective work and responsibility. Ujima, the third principle of Kwanzaa, is symbolized by lighting the first green candle of the Canera. Ujima is based on the notion that African Americans must work together to build and maintain our communities and that we must make our sisters and brothers' problems our very own and solve them together. Ujima is a call for cooperation, accountability, and compassion. The first step to effective positive change within our community is to engender a spirit of cooperation. Cooperation requires us to work together for the common good. A spirit of cooperation sets the stage for us to build joint partnerships, focusing on measures that promote our community's interests and provide for our needs. As a second step, we must be willing to take full responsibility for ourselves, our families, the communities, and the future. Finally, we must treat each other with compassion, respect, the idea that we have an obligation to be concerned about the problems and welfare of each other is what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. referred to as the breath of life. According to Dr. King, an individual has not started living until he can rise above the narrow confines of his individualistic concerns to the broader concerns of all humanity.
Day 3, Ujima, collective work and responsibility.
Collective work and responsibility. As you have heard already, we have come this far by faith. We are leaning on the Lord and moving forward. We brought in on the black candle unity, and we had a poem. That poem was Don't Quit. Now, anybody that know that poem know that it was a poem that was written by an anonymous writer, meaning we don't know who wrote it. I always say, well, God wrote it and left it here for us to use to benefit our families and those who are around us. And so the fact of unity, it takes a village to raise a child, and we also say that it takes a strong family to raise a village so that the child can be raised with love, with hope, and with faith. So, Kuja Shakalia, self-determination, was where we talked about that we don't need to allow people to define who we are in our future as to where we are going. In other words, we need to stand up for ourselves. We need to get the knowledge for ourselves so that we can be the best that we can be all that we can become. Instead of waiting for somebody to define who you are, tell you who you are, tell you what you can and can't do. No, we need to stand up. That's what this is about. And on that night, we did another poem that was Invictus by William Ernest Henley. Out of the night that covers me, black as a pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever God may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Out of all these things that we are talking about, that's a brief piece of the Invictus. We want us to know that we're not bowing down, we are standing up. We want to do that, we want to hand that legacy down to our children, and we want to move forward. And so now we're coming to day 3, which is very meaningful because it's all about continuing along with that whole concept of Ujima. And what is Ujima?
Ujima?
What is Ujima?
Collective work and responsibility.
Collective work and responsibility. And that's what you see in this room. Collective work and responsibility. We came together and we were responsible about what we were trying to put together. And we are moving forward with our goal, and that is to present Kwanzaa in our own natural way. And I am so proud of what we have done together. Collective work and responsibility. And at this point, we're going to go back and Professor Braylon, would you give us the symbols, please?
So you have mazo, which are fruits, vegetables, and nuts.
This is the fruits, our own fruit basket, vegetables and nuts. This is the mazo. Next one.
Next we have makeka, which is the placemat.
The placemat is where we got everything on. The makika and is one of those things that is the centerpiece of Kwanzaa. Everything sits on the mat, and it's a very precious item and symbol of our Kwanzaa celebration.
After that we have the canera, which is the candle holder.
This is the canero. The canero is the wood frame that you see here, in which the candles are placed. As you can see, the canero is sort of like the backbone to the whole Kwanzaa celebration.
Next we have bunzi, which is the ears of corn.
The bunzi is the fresh ears of corn, fresh fruits. And it symbolizes how we take our own organic and our own handiwork, and we grow our foods, and we are self-sufficient in terms of what we do. We don't lean away from our heritage, we lean into our heritage. And the mbuzi of the 3 ears of corn means a whole lot in terms of eating good food, healthy food, so that we can live longer and be very happy in a quality of life that we have not experienced at this point in time. We got health issues right now, all kinds of things going on that we're fighting for health care, and this points towards our effort to take care of that type of issue and cause in our family. What's the next thing that Professor?
Next is the sawadi, which are the gifts.
Zawadi are gifts. Much like what you see in the Christmas celebration, we give gifts on the 25th. But at the end of this celebration, at the end of the 7 days, we're going to exchange gifts. And the gifts are meaningful because it's about defining our legacy and our heritage, and it's about binding us together as a village. It's about binding us together as a people. And because we're strong as a people, we'll be able to penetrate and help other people and other ethnic groups be strong. And that's what this is all about. We're standing up at a time when it's darkest. It's a time when people are raining down suppression, at a time when people are talking about racism and prejudice, and a time that we're deporting people, at a time that we're just tearing up our society and our community. We're standing up to say we're going to come together as a family, come together as a village, come together as a people, so that we can help save the world through our collective responsibility. Next.
The next is Kambe Yad Moja, which is the communal cup of unity.
Communal cup of unity is naturally bigger than this, but it's a symbol. In that cup of unity, there's a libation placed inside of that cup. And everyone that's in that celebration can pass that cup around, and we take a sip from it. What that symbolizes that it further reinforces the fact that we are together. We are somebody. We are the backbone of our family. Men standing up and taking care of business. Women standing up and taking care of business of the family. Everything comes together in a band of movement. And this is what this is all about. It's a movement. When people are being silent, this is when we need to speak up. This is the First Amendment. We got to speak up and speak out. That's why Kwanzaa we must not let it die. We got to merge this all into one flow. Everything has to be a unity, not a separating, not a house divided against itself cannot stand. It is unity where we find strength, and that's what this is all about. So the cup of the community unity cup is sort of filled with that libation, and that libation is supposed to feed our mind, body, and soul. What's the next thing?
We have Mashuma Saba, which are the 7 candles.
The Mashuma Saba is the 7 candles. And as you can see, we are following our rituals. The first day was black candle of unity. Second day, 7 candle. And now here we are at the 3rd candle, the green, which is, and it's going to rotate back and forth. And collective work and responsibility is where we are celebrating this particular night going forward. Is that it? Okay. Now, as we said, that there was some, had some poetic pieces that came with this concept of lighting the candles, and Naya came up and did the lighting of the candles, and we continue to look at this as a spiritual movement. The lighting of the candle is saying we got to let our light shine. Let our light flicker through the darkness of the troubles that's coming down, and the troubles of the past, and the troubles of the present, the troubles that might be coming through the future. We have to have our light shining bright so that we can help those who do not have the hope. We're saying keep hope alive. We're saying keep faith. You can't have faith unless you first have hope. And that's 1 Corinthians 13:13. It says, now abide faith, hope, love. These 3. But the greatest of these is love. And that's what binds us all together. As we look at it, William Ernest Henley said, you know, we can't go back and look at the past and become discouraged. We have to look at the past as the building block to the present, as a building block to the future. So we're going to go back to, Professor, would you read the first quotes dealing with Ujima?
First one is coming from Jesse Owens. Any black who strives to achieve in this country should think in terms of not only himself, but also how he can reach down and grab another black child and pull him to the top of the mountain where he is. This is what a gold medal does to you. And the next comes from Dorothy Height. History reminds us that our life traditions were wholly encompassed by our kinships and tribes. No children and mothers were ever unsheltered and unprotected.
And where's Alice? We're going to call on Virginia to read a couple quotes for us.
Okay. This is Jesse Jackson Jr. Black Americans must begin to accept a larger share of responsibility for their lives. To fight any battle takes soldiers who are strong, healthy, committed, well-trained, and confident. The next one is Armstrong Williams. Those of us who, by the grace of God, have escaped the legacy of racism and poverty and now enjoy a comfortable life, have an obligation to help where we can. And the third one is by Carl Rowan. Breaking barriers. Just as no man is an island in the sea of human hopes and hatreds, so no man is capable of bashing along the roadblocks to justice and human freedom. When we talk about collective work and responsibility, to me that means that each one of us in our communities have to take the responsibility for the things that go on in our community. We have to make sure that we reach down and pull somebody up. You know, heard the quotes about the crab mentality in some of our communities, where you can't get ahead because something like the crab in a barrel. When one moves up, the rest of them pull him back down. That's not what we need to do. Collective work and responsibility requires that we are responsible for every single thing that goes on in our community. We have to take responsibility for our children who don't succeed, our children who are out of school, our children who just don't feel like they have hope. We have to take responsibility for that. Our communities, our churches, our elders, our just basic citizens. We have to look at each other not as somebody who is a problem, but look at somebody who needs our help, and it's our responsibility to provide that help.
Right.
We cannot. No man is an island. It says, no man is an island. No man stands alone. We cannot do this one person. It takes the entire village. It takes the entire community, and it takes a desire that we all succeed to make this collective work and responsibility work. We are moving towards our nation's birthday,
250 years.
250 years. This nation was born now, that has been built now, was built by people working together. Blacks, Asian, Chinese, whites, everybody. This is the melting pot. So collectively, as a society, we have to be able to and be willing to take on that responsibility that all of us will succeed, and all of us have a part in building this country, and not just one group, not just tearing people down and letting our communities just deteriorate. Collective work and responsibility means that we care, and we show that we care by making sure that everybody succeeds. And so this is what my thoughts on collective work and responsibility, because it is something that's near and dear, because we cannot keep going this way. 250 years on this soil, we have to be able to move forward, and we will move to a higher height. Things are fast going to different levels of technology. Nobody can be left behind. We had the thing, no child left behind.
Right.
No people, no person is to be left behind. We all got to get a piece of that prize, piece of the pie, as they say. We all got to eat at the table. And so, if one is hungry, then we go get that person and bring him to the table. And if one needs some shoes, we go get some shoes and we give them to that person. If one needs some help, we need to go and make sure that that person has that help. This is what we need to do as a people. And make sure we stop fighting each other, killing each other. Stop doing those things that are negative and detrimental to our communities. Collective work and responsibility mean that we take charge. We are responsible for what goes on. And only we can make it better together. Collectively, make it better.
Thank you. Thank you.